Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive where we'll be exploring a really cool topic: how to become a software engineer without a computer science degree.
It's definitely a hot topic right now, and for good reason.
Yeah, the tech industry is booming. There are tons of job opportunities out there.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is the demand for software engineers. It's actually growing faster than the number of computer science graduates.
Wow, so there's a real shortage of qualified people.
Yeah, there's a huge talent gap.
So that means this is the perfect time for people without a formal degree to jump in and learn to code.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity to get your foot in the door.
Okay, so let's talk about why. Why are companies starting to look beyond that traditional CS degree?
Well, for one thing, practical skills are really what matters most these days.
Right.
Companies want to know, can you solve problems? Can you write good code? They're not as concerned with whether you have a piece of paper that says you went to a certain school.
Yeah.
They're more interested in seeing what you can actually do. Exactly. So they're using things like coding challenges, portfolio reviews to assess candidates.
That makes sense. And it's inspiring to see so many success stories of people who taught themselves how to code and landed amazing jobs.
Definitely. There are countless examples out there, people who didn't follow the traditional path.
What?
Well, just think about the founders of some of the biggest tech companies, Microsoft, Facebook. They didn't all have fancy degrees. They were driven, they were passionate, and they were willing to learn by doing.
Yeah, that's so important. So let's say you're starting from scratch. You want to learn to code. Where do you even begin?
That's the big question. And it can definitely feel overwhelming with so many programming languages out there.
I can imagine, but
A good place to start is with a language that's beginner-friendly and also widely used.
like Python.
Exactly. Python is a great choice.
I've heard that a lot. Why is Python so popular?
Well, for a few reasons. It's known for its clear syntax. It's very readable,
Oh, that's good.
almost like plain English,
That's helped.
which makes it easier to pick up, especially for beginners. Plus, Python is very versatile.
Oh, really?
You can use it for web development, data science, machine learning,
Wow. So many different things.
pretty much anything these days.
That's amazing. And I've heard the Python community is great too.
Oh, yeah. It's a very welcoming and supportive community,
That's important.
especially for beginners. There are lots of online resources, forums where you can get help, connect with other Python developers.
That's great. Now, what if someone is specifically interested in web development?
Well, in that case, JavaScript is a must.
JavaScript.
It's the language of the web,
So you can't build interactive websites without it.
pretty much.
And I'm guessing
Ah.
the demand for JavaScript developers is pretty high.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the most in-demand skills out there.
Okay, so let's say
Yeah.
you've picked your language, you're starting to write some code. What's the next crucial skill to master?
After you have a basic understanding of a language, you'll want to learn about version control.
Version control.
Yeah, using Git.
Git. That sounds kind of technical.
It is a bit technical, but trust me, it's worth learning.
Why is that?
Well, it will save you a lot of headaches down the road.
Okay,
Git helps you keep track of all the changes you make to your code,
I see.
so you don't accidentally lose anything
Okay.
or overwrite important files.
Yeah, that's definitely happened to me before.
It happens to everyone, but Git makes it much easier to go back to previous versions of your code if you need to.
That's so helpful.
And it's not just for solo projects.
Oh,
Git is essential for collaboration.
I see.
When you're working with a team of developers, it helps you keep track of who changed what, merge codes seamlessly,
Oh,
and avoid those dreaded merge conflicts.
sounds like a lifesaver.
It really is.
Okay, so Git is a must-have
Hmm.
for any aspiring software engineer.
Absolutely.
All right. Now let's talk about a topic that could be a bit intimidating: data structures and algorithms.
Yeah, those are big ones. And they're definitely important.
But they can be pretty daunting, especially for someone without a computer science background.
I understand. But they're really not as scary as they might seem.
Okay.
It's just a matter of breaking them down and learning them step by step.
What exactly are they?
Data structures are ways of organizing data so that it can be used efficiently.
Good.
And algorithms are sets of instructions for solving specific problems.
So it's not just about writing code, it's about writing efficient code.
Precisely.
That makes sense.
Understanding data structures and algorithms will help you write better code, solve complex problems, and become a more effective programmer overall.
Okay, so where can people go to learn about these things?
There are a ton of resources available, online courses, books, tutorials, but one platform that I particularly like is Algocademy.
Algocademy.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
They have a really fun and interactive approach
It's good.
to teaching these concepts.
Have
Well, they use things like visuals, coding challenges to make learning more engaging.
I like that.
And they also offer AI-powered hints and explanations
That's cool.
to help you get unstuck.
So it's like having a virtual tutor.
Exactly.
I remember reading about one of their challenges
Yeah.
where you actually get to implement a sorting algorithm.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
It's not just about memorizing the steps. You actually see how the data is being sorted with each step,
Yeah, it's very visual.
which makes it much easier to understand.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you have a grasp of data structures and algorithms,
Wait.
what's next?
Well, there's a whole world of other skills to explore.
Wow.
Things like databases,
Databases.
different software development methodologies
Okay.
like Agile and Scrum, and even basic software architecture.
Wow. Sounds like a lot to learn.
It is. But the good news is there are tons of resources available, both free and paid.
That's great.
And online communities can be a huge help, too.
Yeah.
Places like Stack Overflow,
I've heard of that.
where you can ask questions, get help from experienced developers.
So you're not alone on this journey. All right, so we've talked about learning the fundamentals.
Yeah.
But what about gaining practical experience? How important is that?
Experience is absolutely essential.
Okay.
All the theory in the world. Can't replace hands-on experience.
Wow.
That's where you really start to solidify your skills, understand how things work in the real world.
So how can someone without a degree
Yeah,
gain that valuable experience?
that's a great question. There are a few different ways.
Right.
One option is to contribute to open source projects.
Open source projects.
Yeah.
What are those?
Open source projects are software projects that are publicly available. Anyone can contribute to them.
Oh, interesting.
So you can work on real code bases, collaborate with other developers, and build up your portfolio.
That's a great idea. And it's a way to give back to the community, too.
Exactly. And another way to gain experience is through hackathons.
Hackathons.
Yeah.
What are those?
Hackathons are events where people come together to build software projects.
Yeah.
In a short amount of time, it's a really fun and intense way to learn new skills, collaborate with others, and maybe even win some prizes.
I like that.
Plus, hackathons are a great way to network and meet potential employers.
So it's a win-win.
Definitely.
All right, so we've talked about learning,
Yeah.
gaining experience, building projects. What about networking? How important is that for aspiring software engineers?
So networking is crucial.
Why is that?
Well, for one thing, it can help you learn about job opportunities.
Okay.
You know,
Uh-huh.
often the best jobs aren't even advertised publicly.
I see.
They're filled through word of mouth or through personal connections.
So knowing the right people can give you a real advantage.
Absolutely.
And networking is also a great way to get advice from more experienced developers.
Definitely having a mentor can be invaluable.
Okay, so how do you actually go about networking, especially in the tech industry?
Well, there are a few things you can do.
White.
One of the best ways is to attend tech meetups.
Tech meetups.
Yeah.
What are those like?
Tech meetups are events where people who are interested in technology come together to learn, share ideas, and network.
Okay.
They're usually pretty casual, and there's often food and drinks involved.
It's fun.
They are fun, and they're a great way to meet people, learn about new technologies, and maybe even find a job.
Okay. What else can you do?
Another great way to network is to get involved in online communities.
Online communities.
Yeah,
Like what?
like Stack Overflow, Reddit,
Uh-huh.
Twitter. The
Yep.
platforms are full of developers who are willing to share their knowledge, answer questions,
Hmm.
and connect with others.
So you can learn a lot.
Definitely. And you can also build your reputation by answering questions yourself and helping others.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And of course, LinkedIn is important for networking too.
Oh, yeah. LinkedIn is essential.
It's a great way to connect with people in the industry, showcase your skills.
And get noticed by recruiters.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the importance of learning to code, gaining experience, building a network. And the good news is you don't need a computer science degree to do any of this.
That's right. There are more and more opportunities for self-taught programmers.
Even with all the right skills and experience,
Mm,
landing that first software engineering job can still be a challenge.
it can be.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into how to build a standout portfolio, craft a killer resume, and ace those crucial job interviews.
Sounds good. Welcome back.
We're back. All right, so in part one, we talked about all the amazing resources and communities out there for learning to code and gaining experience. But now, it's time to talk about how to actually land that first software engineering job,
The real deal.
the real deal, especially if you don't have a formal CS degree.
Yeah. You need a way to show potential employers what
Yeah.
you can do.
Right, you need to prove yourself.
Exactly. And that's where a killer portfolio comes in.
A portfolio.
It's your chance to shine, to showcase your skills, your creativity, and your ability to solve real-world problems.
So it's not just a list of projects.
Nope. It's more than that. It's a story.
A story.
Each project is a chapter. And you want to take the viewer on a journey.
I like that. A portfolio journey.
Exactly.
So what makes a good portfolio story?
Well, for each project, you want to explain the problem you were trying to solve,
Okay.
the technologies you used,
Uh-huh.
and the steps you took to bring it to life.
So it's not just about the code.
Nope, it's about the whole process.
It's the problem solving.
Exactly.
And I imagine screenshots and demos are important too.
Oh, absolutely. Potential employers want to see your projects in action.
Right.
So if you built a web app, include a link to the live site.
Okay.
If it's a mobile app, show a video demo.
Makes sense.
The more visual and interactive your portfolio is, the better.
So bring those projects to life.
Let employers experience them.
Okay. So we've got the portfolio. Now let's talk about the resume.
The dreaded resume.
Yeah. Because if you don't have a CS degree,
Yeah.
you really need to make your resume stand out.
You do. You need to showcase your skills
Yeah.
and experience in a way that grabs attention.
So what are some tips?
Well, first of all, be specific about the technologies you know.
Okay.
Don't just say, familiar with Python.
Right.
List the frameworks and libraries you've used.
Because familiar with Python could mean a lot of different things.
Exactly. It could mean you wrote a simple Hello World program, or it could mean you built a complex web application.
Big difference.
And when you're describing your projects, focus on the results and the impact you made.
Okay.
Don't just say, developed a web application.
What should you say?
Say something like, developed a web application that increased user engagement by 20%.
Oh, I see.
Quantify your achievements.
Show how you added value.
Make it measurable.
That makes sense.
And one more important tip, tailor your resume for each job application.
Don't just use a generic resume.
No. Take the time to read the job description and highlight the specific skills and experiences that they're looking for.
So customize it.
Make it relevant.
All right, so we've talked about the portfolio
Mm-hmm.
and the resume. Now comes the scary part, the interviews.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know a lot of people get nervous about interviews,
It's understandable. It can be a stressful process.
especially the technical interviews, where they ask you to solve coding problems.
On the spot.
Yeah.
Those can be tough.
Any advice for acing those technical interviews?
Practice. Practice.
This
Practice.
makes perfect.
There are a ton of resources online, like LeetCode and HackerRank.
I've heard of those.
They offer coding challenges that are specifically designed to prepare you for technical interviews.
So it's not just about memorizing solutions.
No, it's about understanding the concepts,
Yeah.
the problem-solving strategies.
Being able to think on your feet.
Exactly. And some platforms,
Yeah.
like AlgoCademy, even offer mock technical interviews
Wow.
with real engineers,
That's amazing.
so you can get feedback on your performance.
That's so helpful.
And they even have AI-powered feedback that can analyze your code and identify areas for improvement.
It's like having a virtual coding coach.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've conquered the technical interview, but what about the behavioral interview?
Yes. The
What?
dreaded behavioral interview.
Where they ask you questions like, tell me about a time you failed.
Those can be tricky. Any tips?
Well, the key is to reflect on your past experiences
Okay.
and think about how they demonstrate your strengths
Mm-hmm.
and how you've grown from challenges.
So have some stories ready to go.
Exactly. And be prepared to talk about your passion for software engineering.
While you're excited about this field.
Enthusiasm goes a long way.
Okay, so we've built a great portfolio. We've crafted a killer resume. We're ready to rock those interviews. Now, how do we actually find those software engineering jobs?
Well, there are a lot of job boards out there, like LinkedIn,
Mm.
Indeed, Stack Overflow jobs.
Okay.
But don't be afraid to think outside the box.
What do you mean? Well, startups are often more open to hiring self-taught programmers.
Makes sense.
They're looking for talent, not credentials.
So where can you find startup jobs?
Websites like AngelList are a good place to start.
AngelList?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what about networking?
Networking is always a good idea.
Right.
Reach out to people you've connected with at meetups or online communities.
See if they know of any open positions.
Exactly.
And of course, your online presence matters too.
It does.
Make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date.
Showcase your skills, your projects. Make it shine.
And if you have a personal website or blog, that's a great way to share your thoughts and demonstrate your passion.
Definitely.
Okay, so this is all great advice, but I know the job hunt can be tough, especially for someone without a traditional degree.
It can be. It can be a long and winding road.
Any words of encouragement?
Don't give up.
Okay.
Keep learning, keep building, keep networking.
Okay.
And remember, you're not alone.
There's a whole community of self-taught developers out there.
Who have been in your shoes.
That's encouraging.
And many of them are now working at some of the top tech companies in the world.
So it is possible.
It is definitely possible.
All right, so we've landed that dream job. Now what? The learning doesn't stop there.
It never stops.
So how do we stay ahead
Yeah,
in this ever-evolving industry?
that's what we'll talk about in part 3.
So stick around for more. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the world of software engineering without a degree. And we've covered so much ground, from learning the basics to building a portfolio to acing those job interviews. But
Sure.
now, let's talk about what happens after you land that first software engineering job.
Because the journey doesn't end there.
It definitely doesn't.
Right.
In fact, it's really just the beginning.
Exactly. The tech industry is constantly evolving.
It's moving so fast.
So you need to be constantly learning.
Continuous learning.
That's the key to staying ahead.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we keep up with all the new technologies and trends?
Well, one of the best ways
Oh,
is to stay informed. Follow tech news and blogs.
like what?
Websites like Hacker News, TechCrunch,
I've heard of those.
and blogs dedicated to specific programming languages or frameworks.
Okay.
These resources will keep you up to date on the latest developments, emerging technologies.
It's like having your finger on the pulse.
Exactly.
Okay, so stay informed. What else?
The 10 workshops and webinars.
Workshops and webinars.
Yeah.
Are those really helpful?
They can be. You can learn from experts, get hands-on experience, and network with other professionals.
Makes sense. And what about online courses?
Online courses are a great way to deepen your knowledge, learn new skills, and stay ahead of the curve.
There are so many platforms out there.
There are, like Coursera, Udemy, and many others.
It's amazing how accessible education is these days.
It really is.
We can learn from anywhere in the world.
At your own pace.
Okay, so we've got tech news and blogs,
Yeah.
workshops and webinars, online courses. What about certifications?
Certifications can be valuable.
In what way?
They can demonstrate your expertise in specific technology,
Okay.
which can make you a more attractive candidate to potential employers.
So it's like a stamp of approval.
In a way.
Now, earlier we talked about the importance of networking.
Yeah,
Is that still important once you've landed a job?
absolutely. In fact, it's even more important.
Really?
Yeah, building relationships with colleagues, mentors, and other professionals can open doors to new opportunities
I see.
and provide valuable insights and support.
And keep networking.
Never stop networking.
Okay. Now, one more thing I wanted to touch on.
So,
Personal projects.
yes, personal projects are a great way to stay sharp, explore new technologies.
And just have fun.
Exactly. It's your chance to work on something you're passionate about without any constraints.
And those personal projects
Yeah.
can be really impressive to potential employers.
They can. They show that you're self-motivated and that you're always learning.
So keep coding.
Keep building.
All right, so to wrap things up, becoming a software engineer without a degree is totally possible.
It is.
It takes hard work, dedication, and a willingness to learn.
But it's definitely achievable.
And the rewards are huge.
They are. A career in software engineering can be incredibly challenging and rewarding,
And it's a field that's constantly growing.
with no shortage of opportunities.
So if you're thinking about making a career change, or if you're just starting out, don't let the lack of a degree hold you back.
You can do it.
This has been a fantastic deep dive, and I hope our listeners feel inspired and empowered to pursue their software engineering dreams.
We believe in you.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. for another exciting exploration of the world around us